Hello everyone, in this video I would like to share with you how to tune our rope-tuned traditional djembe. Okay, now there's a few techniques in tuning our rope-tuned traditional djembe. So different types of tuning strategy will be used for different type of drums and different type of situation. Okay, if you're ready, let's just jump right in. First, I want to show you some of the tools that I use usually. Before I show you the tools, I also want to let you know that if in the event you don't have these tools, you still can tune your djembe as well, just that you will do it in a more difficult way, in a more challenging way. So it's not impossible if you don't have the tools, okay? So let's look at here. Now, first of all, I have this, we call this a djembe puller or djembe rope puller or a djembe puller bar. All right, they all refer to the same thing. Now, usually you can get these from online shops selling djembe. You probably can get it on Amazon, I'm not sure, but online djembe shops like Rhythm Traders in the US, drumscouts.com, and Ula drums as well. So it looks something like this. I will show you how to use it later part in the video. Next is the clipper. Now, these two items are to be used together. Very important. Okay, I will show you. And if you don't have these two items, there's another item which is a more efficient item. It's this new invention here by the close friend of mine from China. And he owns a brand called Zebra Djembe. This tool is basically a replacement of these two tools here, okay? And for this product, it comes with this little animal looking thing, okay? It looks very cute, but it's very useful. I will show you later on. And if all else fails, if you don't have all these nice, super solid tools that I just mentioned, if you only have a dunu stick, that will work as well, okay? But for this to work, you need to pair this up with very strong hands, very strong hands. So now let's explore the first tuning technique, otherwise also known as the tying the knot technique, which is a very common way of tuning the djembe. So what I have here is a traditionally made djembe from Guinea, West Africa. Now there are also other djembe coming from Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Mali, Senegal, Gambia. Now if you have djembe from this region, chances are they are what I would say well made, and you can see that the way the rope is being weaved into the drum are evenly spaced out. Okay, now this is important because when we start to apply the knot technique, that means every knot that we apply, it will contribute to a certain tension to the djembe skin. So every knot that we're going to apply, basically it is worth our effort for pulling the knot, okay, as you will see later. Now, this djembe, the skin is newly placed onto the drum, so you see there are no knots, okay? Every rope is evenly distributed. So, in case you're wondering, okay, this green color rope, the whole thing you're seeing here is one long rope, all right? And this is the opening end, okay? Meaning it starts from here and goes all the way up and down, round to the drum, and it kind of ended up here. Okay, so we're going to find the other end of the rope, okay, which is the only other end of the rope, because the other end of the rope is here, if you can see, okay, it's here, all right, and this is the other end of the rope. Wow! Now, so while here, we're going to go back under this, okay, all right. Now make sure we pull all the way out first like this and put it tight. We don't have any slacks here. Now, we want to have this end come back here, okay, to go through the next two ropes, all right? So, when I pull this, okay, this rope will go over this rope, okay? Or in other words, this rope here will go under this rope, thereby forming a knot, okay? So as you're seeing now, I'm pulling with my bare hands, okay? This is a situation where you don't have any tools, all right? Now make sure, okay, leave all the slacks out first, okay? Once you are in position, then we pull a knot, all right? I'm gonna do it now. See, this is our first knot, okay? This is our first knot, okay? Some of you who are watching may be wondering, but how do we know which two ropes to start off with, right? Okay, because once we start off with the wrong two ropes, okay, it's gonna be very troublesome later on. So I'm gonna loosen this out so that you can see in the case where the last vertical rope is in position. See, this last vertical rope is coming from the whole complete weaving of the drum, the complete round. And now this is the last vertical rope in position, all right? And then we wanna come in to the next double rope. Okay, when we look at the double rope, okay, we look on top here, we want to have this double rope, not these two, because this will be the same two. We don't want the same column, or rather two ropes from the same column. We want a two rope from a different column. So this two is the two ropes that is nearest to the last vertical placement. Okay, now we do this, right? So we are aiming for these two rope. Okay, now again I'll demonstrate what I did earlier on. Turn back like this. Okay, now make sure we don't want to turn, we don't want to do this step like this immediately. We want to pull off the slack first. Always pull off the slack first, very important. Okay, so now we're going to get the tack end of the rope, okay? You know, I kept saying the other end, right? Now, so technically we can pull the knot like this already. See, if I pull that, all right? But if I just pull from this point, it's a little bit difficult. So a more intelligent way is to prepare the next pair of vertical rope first, okay? Remember, we have to go underneath it. Prepare first, so same thing, pull off all the slack. Make sure you pull down, okay? Do not pull like this. Do not pull a knot like this in this way, no. Always pull down, all right? So we want to minimize the slack, and that's it. That's the first knot we have, okay? So once we have it, we're going to prepare the next knot by doing this, okay? So like I said, we don't want to pull this immediately. Technically we can, but we want to prepare the next pair first, all right? And then we're going to pull again. All right, and make sure we pull hard. So there we have it, two knots. So as you have seen, the first two knots, I use my bare hands to pull the rope. All right, it's not impossible, okay? But your hands might hurt, or you want an easier way out, all right? A tool that we can use is our doodle stick. So what do I mean? So let's say now I prepare the next knot. Now, okay. Instead of using my bare hand, which can be painful, now I'm going to use a doodle stick. How do we do that? Okay, watch. Like this. Just. Alright, okay. We kind of pull our this rope around, alright, because the rope has friction. We use the friction to stop this rope from slipping away. And there we have it. We can hold on to the doodle stick as a strength puller. But you see, this is too much, right? I'm basically holding out my stick here, so that's not practical. So what can we do? We want to do it lower. That's it. Okay, and now I can just pull like this. Yep, much easier. Okay, so I'm gonna do next knot again. Okay, minimize slack, prepare for the next. Now realize I'm usually using this technique instead of using the tack end to go under. So this Djembe is nicely made, so it's easy for a tack end to go under. But sometimes some ropes are so near to the shell that it's hard to squeeze it in. So we use this technique, okay, this technique to prepare the next column. Okay, same thing, minimize the slack. I'm going to use my doodle stick again. Sometimes I'll go at least 2 rounds to prevent the rope slipping. Now I can apply strength using the do not stick and pull. So that's one way if you don't want to use your bare hand. The other tool that you can use is this, sometimes we call it Djembe puller as well. This is one made from the company called Djembe. You can find other similar type of product in the online Djembe shop as well. In fact, any kind of rope puller that has a groove, okay, in this tool here, the groove here is to prevent the rope from slipping away. So in this case, I'm gonna just like this. See, it's not slipping away anymore. So I actually can hold on to this tool, which is easy for the hand to pull. So it's not so painful for the hand because you're going to be doing so many knots. At the end of the day, you're going to have calluses if you don't have these tools. All right. So I'm going to prepare the next knot now, and I'm going to be pulling the next knot with this little tool here in position. See, it's not moving now. Okay, and then just grabbing it and pull. That's it. All right. So I will continue this way using this tool, right? And then at the end of it, when I finish complete round, I will show you what's the result of the tuned Djembe. This is a Djembe that has been tuned with the first technique, which is tying knots with two ropes flipping over one another. This is the end result. So now we're going to explore the second type of tuning technique for our rope tuned Djembe. Now before I show you that, I just want to share with you that from my experience, if you have a Djembe from West Africa, countries like Guinea, Burkina Faso, Mali, Senegal, Gambia, Ivory Coast, chances are those Djembe are like the one that I showed in my first tuning technique demonstration, okay, where the vertical rope are spaced apart enough that when you tie a knot, it's going to contribute tension on the Djembe skin. But in this case, like for this Djembe here, the vertical ropes are very close to one another. So the first technique of tuning the Djembe is not going to work. So this is the second technique. Now, to start out with, this is the remaining of the rope, right, we're going to use to do our second tuning technique. In the first technique, I mentioned we had to first identify the first two ropes, right? That's it. In this technique, same thing. Identify the first two ropes, okay? We go under, but this time round, it's not just two ropes, but we go under three ropes, all right? Also, earlier I mentioned that we need to minimize the slack, but for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to leave the slack there so you can see how the rope runs through these three ropes, okay? So, underneath all three ropes, and then bring back the tack end again over the third rope, and then underneath again, back through the second and first, like this, okay? And bring back the tack end over the first rope again, underneath second rope, and on top finally of the third rope. Okay, see, like this, all right? Yeah, so what we are doing is basically flipping the third and the first rope over one another, okay? That's the second tuning technique. I'm going to minimize the slack now to do the actual flipping of the first and third rope, okay? That's it. Okay, you see the first knot here. Okay, you see the first knot here involves 3 ropes. So the next step, we're going to prepare 3 rope as well. Okay, it doesn't matter now whether the next 3 rope is part of the same column or different column. Basically, the next 3 vertical ropes. Okay, so again, underneath 3 vertical ropes, I'm going to pull off slack over the third one. Okay, and then back up again over the first one, over the first rope, and then underneath the second rope and on top of the third rope. All right, and then I pull again. All right, so the second technique basically is to make sure that every knot has a certain amount of tension being applied onto the djembe skin. Also, coming back to the tools, we can use our bare hands, we can use our wooden stick. Okay, now I also want to show another tool I have here. It's a very common tool that djembe players in djembe community use all over the world. It's called the Clamcleat power grip. Clamcleat power grip. All right, actually there's 2 versions of it. The first version is a smaller one where the width is about this long, and this is the bigger version for bigger hands. Okay, so I'm going to prepare the next 3 vertical ropes again. Now I'm going to use this to help me pull the slack. All right, remember, back over the third rope and all the way to the first rope. Pull your slack, very important. Over the first rope, underneath second rope, and on top of third rope. Same thing, pull your slack first and then pull your knot. See here? Okay, nice groups of 3 vertical rope together. Okay, so I'm gonna continue through the rest of the ropes, okay, to 1 complete round, and then later we're gonna check how's the tuning. This is a djembe that's being tuned with the second tuning technique, where we have the rope go under 3 vertical ropes and have the first rope and the third rope flip together. This is the end result. Now we're going to explore the third type of tuning technique for rope tune djembe. Now the third tuning technique is to apply on djembe that's, in this case, as you can see, not just the vertical ropes are very close to one another, but it is also very loose. Okay, see? It's so loose that whether you're going to use the first tuning technique to apply knot or the second tuning technique where you do knot with a 3 vertical rope, that's not going to contribute any tension to the djembe skin. Okay, so the third tuning technique will not be doing any knot. Simply the strategy is to make sure we pull out, or rather minimize all the slacks here. Okay, so I mentioned earlier before, for every rope tune djembe, all this vertical rope that you see actually belongs to 1 long rope. So in this case, okay, the starting point for this long rope starts from here and then down and up and down and up and down all the way through 1 complete round until here. Okay, so if we're going to pull the slack, okay, this is a tedious job. All right, we have to start from the first column. All right, so you see, the idea here is I'm going to pull this slack, okay, have this slack, pass over this slack to here and push the slack here. So as we push the slack in each column, we're going to be accumulating the slacks. and until one whole big round, that accumulated slack will contribute to this remaining rope. And then thereafter, we can start tying knot with the first technique or the second technique. Okay? So in this case, it's almost impossible to use bare hands to pull off the slack. Okay? So we need special tools. So the first type of tools I'm going to be using to pull off all the slacks from the Djembe ropes is our Djembe puller bar, but this has to be used together with the clipper. Wow! Okay, so first Djembe puller bar, you see this little thing here, it's for us to hook up the slack. Okay, hook up the slack. So this is the first column, alright? So this is the first rope. Now, see, I'm gonna hook up here, and then this part is for you to support, all right, on this part of the Djembe. Okay, put my both leg up, and as I pull this leg, okay, I'm able to apply tension on the drum skin. Now, but I have to make sure I can transfer this slack onto the subsequent column, right? So to hold the rope at this slack, this way I use a clipper to clip it here. Okay, so the slack won't return back to its original position. Okay, so I'm gonna clip here. Okay, it's not tight enough, so I need to adjust. Okay, so clipper in position. If I clip it, it's gonna stay there. See? Now we can hold the slack here. So we're gonna pull this slack out and transfer to the next column and onto here for our puller bar to pull out again. But that's the thing, you see, sometimes the rope has so much friction, it's hard to transfer the slacks over. So what do? We need something like a normal screwdriver. Okay, now this is very useful, all right? So I'm gonna kind of just hook out the slack so that it can loosen up and lessen the friction, and then transfer the slack, yes, to the next column and next column here. Okay, now the opening for the next column is here. Same thing, use the puller bar to hook it. All right, now we still don't want to let go of the clipper first. We pull first, then let go clipper. All right, see, slowly the slack is transferring over bit by bit. So likewise, clip next part again. Ooh, okay, see, the slack is building up slowly, all right, slowly but surely. Now transferring, okay, slack's over, transferring here again. Now this Djembe I have here is a Bali made Djembe. I haven't been touching this Djembe for a long time, so the friction here is really tough. Okay, again I'm gonna hook, right? So this process basically repeats itself for every vertical column. All right, make sure I pull first and let go clipper. Okay. So as you can see, the slack is getting more and more each time. Okay, so that's what I meant by accumulating the slack. Now, there comes a point in time, right, when our slack is too much, okay? The space is too much until, even before I apply tension on the puller bar, I'm already at this position. So I will have left very little space for me to actually apply strength to pull off the slack. So in this case, that's what this fella is useful for, all right? So at this point, we won't be using this anymore. In fact, we'll click it here, okay, here, all right? Now we have enough, space to use this guy here and also have the bottom of the puller bar, all right, anchor against this part of the Djembe and pull. Let go of clipper. Yes. So henceforth, we'll be using this to hold the slack instead of this. So as you can see, even with the tool here, I'm still a bit panting, right? I still require a lot of strength. So at this point, if you have these two tool here, the clipper and the Djembe puller bar, you're all set to go. But now I want to share with you another tool which I think is more convenient and less hectic. Okay, now is this tool here. It's a new invention by one of my friends in China. Actually, this product has been around for quite some time. Okay, now this two fella here, these two guys here basically do the same thing as what the puller bar and the clipper does. I'm going to show you. So at this point, we want to be transferring the slack until here and pull this guy, right? So to give you an idea, this fella basically, the function is like what the puller bar is doing. Its function is like what the puller bar can do. And this little animal looking creature will be replacing the clipper. So as you can see, I'm trying to transfer the slack to this part and ideally to this part so we can pull off the slack and let go of the clipper. Now usually in this step we will be using the Djembe puller bar to hook up the slack, right? But now instead of the puller bar, I will use this tool here. So this part of the tool is used to anchor at this part of the Djembe, right? Now make sure, so this is, we can open up like this, but first we'll keep it closed first. This part anchor here, right? And this is the part that's gonna kind of grip the rope, okay? So anchor, actually, anchor, grip the rope, okay? And then I start pulling. See, it's gripped here and I actually can pull now. That's it, I don't have to use a hook anymore. All right, so after I pull one hole around here, I can, right, take it out again and prepare for the next. Close it up, bite the rope again, okay, and pull again. So you see, now I let go my clipper and I pull. I don't have to be using the puller bar anymore, okay, and I pull. I'm not using any strength, okay, see? So and pull all the way down, okay. So at this part, we wanna, the clip, usually we'll use a clipper to clip on the tension, right? So that the slack won't go back, right? So we'll use this little creature here to kind of puck our creature right here. Okay, let the creature sit on the rope and push all the way up. Then we let go. Okay. That's it. The tension doesn't go back because it's stuck here. This fella here helps us to hold the slack. All right. So now I'm going to transfer this here, right? It's going to be painful if I use my finger to hook this up. So what do we do? Okay, this new invention here. Lock it here, anchor the point here. Let this part bite the rope. Okay, this is what it looks like here. So there's a groove here. It can easily just bite on our rope. Okay, and then that's it. Okay, and I start pulling. All right. Do it a second time. So basically, if you have a lot more slack already, you have to do this a few times for a single column. Okay, but you know, not much strength being used, and it's relaxing. It's pulling. Now I use my little creature here to tuck it here to stop the slack from going back. See? Yes. Now this is the Djembe that's being tuned with the third tuning technique where we pull all the slack off the vertical ropes, okay? That means no knots, okay? As you can see, no knots on this Djembe, but simply pulling off the slack from all the vertical rope. And this is how it sounds. So these are the 3 different type of tuning technique we can use on rope tune djembe. After you have tuned your djembe, my advice would be to always keep your djembe in a dry environment. Now, I come from Singapore. Singapore is near the equator, so our country has very humid condition. It is almost impossible to be in a dry environment. So what I do is I try to have a dehumidifier at the place where I store my djembe. Also have my djembe be kept in a bag if I'm bringing my djembe out for class or for performance. And if you ever drive, don't leave your djembe in the car overnight. All the best to your djembe playing. Let me know what you think about this video, and tell me any questions if you have. Alright, post it in the comment section. Remember to like and subscribe our channel, and see you at our next video.